Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Ledger. I am Cage, and I am back because I got to talk about House of the Dragon, Season 3, Episode 3. And also, some good news, depending on how you view things. Chair will be back. On Thursday, we're going to talk about Spider Noir. I still have to finish it. I got 2 episodes left. So we'll talk about that. And then, as we continue to get back into the swing of things, as Chair is more adapted and has more time, we'll talk about other things, right? We still got to talk about Supergirl. We got to talk about X-Men 97. We got to talk about, well, he probably won't watch Avatar The Last Airbender Season 2, but I'll talk about that at some point, most likely with the Wifington, if she wants. There's a new Avatar series, a new Avatar animated movie coming out. That'll be out later this month. So I'll talk about that at some point too. So lots of things happening, everybody. Lots of things. Spider-Man, brand new day coming out this month as well. Lots of stuff, guys. So much content. But House of the Dragon, Season 3, Episode 3. There's quite a bit that happened in this episode. The main focus is obviously on Rhaenyra now as queen, trying to get her affairs in order, learning how to be queen, just dealing with a whole lot, and certain situations. How does she handle them? Actually, a lot of situations. Beyond that, right, we have Ormond Hightower at the beginning of the episode and the end of the episode. We'll get into that. Full spoilers will happen, so spoiler warning just in case you haven't seen it. You don't want to be spoiled. I will be spoiling some things. I'll also give some perspective from the book and how certain... I feel like anytime I talk about House of the Dragon or any adaptation, you have to talk about these things. But especially with House of the Dragon, you have to talk about how little changes create big shockwaves and how it affects the way you have to tell stories from that point on, right? So I'll talk a little bit about that as well. And then, yeah... that was pretty much this episode, to be honest. I'm trying to think of what else went on, because we didn't get anything with Harrenhal. We didn't get anything with Sir Christian Cole. So, I mean, this episode is pretty much just Rhaenyra and the beginning of the episode where Damon shows up and says to Ormond Hightower, "Oi, mate, bend the knee, or I'll burn your whole army." And Ormond's like, "Well, I have other lives to think about. Otherwise, I would just fucking not do that shit. I would fuck your shit up, Damon. But I know you have dragons, and they'll kill me." So yes, he bends the knee and does the thing and says, whatever, acknowledge Rhaenyra and all that bullshit. And really, it's just Damon there. Damon with Caraxes, and then Ulf and Hugh in the background, just chilling as protection. But yeah, he bends the knee, and then Damon's like, "Hey, yo, also, Darren, the youngest son of Alicent and Viserys, who's been a ward here for like his whole life. Yeah, he's gonna be our prisoner, so send him our way." And so, Ormond's like, "Oh, here is a here is a little blonde kid who is clearly a Targaryen and not anything else. Go ahead, whatever, well, me. And Tessarion, the dragon, for some reason doesn't get taken, doesn't get told to follow. He's just left there. And Saren gives a look like, "Who the fuck is that kid?" Like, what the hell? Because that is not Darren. So yeah, that's kind of where we start. And then we move into Rhaenyra, kind of just problem after problem. Like she wants to have this big coronation and all this stuff. Finds out they got no fucking money. Because Tylan or whoever, one of the Lannisters, fucking hid it all, and all the people who knew about it are dead or some shit. And like they sent all this money away, and yeah, the crown is poor. They have no money, and then it's also like all this political nonsense that Rhaenyra really doesn't give a shit about. Like she's not diplomatic at all. You got rats all over the fucking place because Aegon killed all the rat catchers. Yeah, you just a lot of stuff going on. Not to mention, then she gets hit with her period. You know what I'm saying? Like that fucking sucks. So just this is part of being a woman in power. You gotta overcome these things. She doesn't shy away from her responsibilities just because of all these things, right? She's still there, listening to all the people ask her for things, and you know all these wealthy lords that have taken all the things. Well, your blockade prevented us from feeding our families. And so, Rhaenyra comes up with the perfect solution. She invites all the lords and ladies who hoarded all the shit to, have a nice banquet. And, she fed them some rats. And then she's like, oh, and by the way, while you're here, we're fucking looting your houses and taking some of your shit, and we're going to give it to the poor people, which makes you look good to the poor people. But listen, you still need, even though they're mid-tier, you still need all the nobles to respect you and like you. And I get it. You can rule with power, but it's part of Targaryen history. It's part of the history of Westeros, right? Where I think it was the first King Jaehaerys. He would go to all the lords all around Westeros. Every year. I don't remember what it's called, but like they would build those relationships. And Rhaenyra already had problems not being very diplomatic when she sent her youngest son to Harrenhal, not Harrenhal, sorry, to Storm's End, to tell the Baratheons, "You swore your loyalty to Queen Rhaenyra, and you must now save her." And they're like, who the fuck do you think you are walking up in here telling me what the fuck I gotta do? Also, Aemon's here, bitch. He got Vhagar. What do you want me to do, mother sucker? And then he got eaten by Vhagar. So that happened. Also, listen, we gotta talk about Sunfire. We had in Game of Thrones, Joffrey confirmed Sunfire's role in this story. I don't want to necessarily spoil it, but we Sunfire needs to be alive for this. But they're saying Sunfire's dead, and they saw Sunfire like rotting. I'm pretty sure we see Sunfire in some promotional material for this season. And unless they're totally retconning like the story, which obviously they can do and have done in other ways. Gonna need Sunfire. But maybe they'll change it. Maybe they'll do something different. Maybe they'll retcon both Game of Thrones and they'll retcon the book or whatever. Like, we don't need Sunfire, I guess. Or they're just fucking lying for some reason to Rhaenyra, which doesn't make a lot of sense either. Yeah. On top of that, Rhaenyra does ultimately knight the seedlings, Ulf, Alan, and is it Alan? Is this one Alan? This one's Alan, right? The other one's Adam. This one's Adam. This one's Adam. Sorry, Adam, Ulf, and Hugh. Hugh the Hammer, and of course Ulf is like, "I fancy myself a Targaryen," and Damon's like, "Fuck off, mate. Yeah, no fucking Targaryen. No, you will be Ulf the dumb fuck, Hugh the Hammer, and Alan of Hull." And here's the thing, right? Corlys, the sea snake, I don't. He's a complex character. He's a selfish character in a lot of ways, and you could understand both sides maybe, but But I've seen people argue on both sides. There are people really like, brother, like, shut the fuck up. Like, well, your switch up is crazy, all this shit. And then, like, it's like, bro, you denied your kids for 30 years, and now all of a sudden you're walking up in here, like, demanding shit, and like, oh, because you have nothing left, you don't have a house, you don't have a family, and now all of a sudden you want to acknowledge them and make them Valerians and shit. And then you got the other side who are saying like, yo, Rhaenyra, this shit would take like 3 seconds. Like, who fucking cares? Just do the shit. And she like kind of brushes it off at first, and then once she makes him Sir Adam of Hole, um, Corlys isn't happy. He's like, hey, yo, I'm the hand of the queen. I served you honorably. My bastard children served you honorably. And I want to give him my name. And what the fuck is you doing making him Sir Adam of Hull and not Sir Adam Valerian, mother sucker? And Rhaenyra's like, hey, brother, the political pressure is fucking crazy. Not to mention, everybody questioned my own children's birth and legitimacy, calling them bastards. And I don't want my first thing, as queen to be like, hey, yo, I'm legitimizing this guy's. Clearly, they're bastards. Because, then what will people say about me? Like, let's wait for things to cool off. Like, she didn't just straight up say, hey, no, I ain't doing it. Let's wait. Let's see if things cool off. Chill the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll just wait, and we'll just see what happens. You know what I'm saying? And then Corlys fucking, bro. Corlys crashed out hardcore. He's like, y'all children were bastards. I was ready to make one of your bastards my heir. Your other child lived and died a bastard. And you are the mother of bastards. Just fucking Jesus Christ, bro. Chill. Holy. He was not having it. There's a lot here, right, with Rhaenyra where we say she's overwhelmed, right? We can see that she's dealing with a lot. Like, it's not like you're queen now. It's not just like, finally. It's like, holy shit, there's a lot that needs to be fixed. Listen, anybody who's ever come into like a job where they have massive responsibilities, where the people before them did fuck all or did fuck all right, bro, we all know we know what that's like, bro. You have to figure out what the fuck was going on before, so you know how to fix it moving forward. There's so much shit you have to do, and it is overwhelming. It's like, where do you even start? And then you got fucking Hugh asking her, hey, yo, you promised me some, like a house and all, some land and shit. And like, what's going on with that? And she's like, listen, Hugh, I just got here again. Like, I got a lot of shit going on. I'll get to it. Don't you worry, son. But these things all lay groundwork for some stuff in the future, right? And the thing is, again, Rhaenyra is not great at this. And to be fair, like, she's never really had to do it on this level. So it takes time, and you have to learn, and you have to do all these things. And so it's not easy for her, but you can't just keep pushing things off. If you make promises and you don't fulfill them, people are going to be mad, right? And when one of the things, right, with Corlys, who wants his kids to be legitimized, in the book, it's not really a problem, right? Like, she legitimizes them because the whole bastard thing, again, as an adaptation, they played that up like hardcore for the show. Like, everyone knows those kids are bastards in this show. You got fucking Aemon, oh, I want your eye, bastard. Like, everyone knows that those guys are Harwin Strong's kids. Like, there's not even a question about it. Whereas in the book, the telling of it, right, which of course is also biased in some ways, like, it's not as clear, and like, it's really a tool used by the Greens, like, it's propaganda against Rhaenyra. But as a whole, like, it's not a widely believed thing. It's not like always brought up. It's like there are brown of hair Targaryens. Like, they're not like that. It happens, right? But and they're not. I don't want to. It is what it is. It is what it is. But because they play up this bastard thing so much in the show, it does give Rhaenyra motivation, the right motivation to not immediately grant Corlys what he's looking for. And so the show is obviously going to create different scenarios, different motivations, different, it's a different situation wholly. And that's not always a bad thing, right? Like, as much as, like, it's something I really dislike as a whole, but we do it, right? We do it as, as comic book fans. We do it as anybody who's ever seen any adaptation of anything, books, comic books, video games, anything that they then turn into a film or a TV show. There's always going to be criticisms about the adaptation, about the things they change, about why can't you do this, and in that comparison, right? And I don't think that's fair, because it's a different form of storytelling. It's a different media type. It's, you have to make changes when you're going from a book to a film. You have to, because not everything's going to work that way. You're telling a different story at that point, and it's really someone's interpretation of that story, right? Like, if someone was to write an X-Men movie again, right, which is happening, but like, people are going to interpret X-Men in different ways, and people are also going to use things that you really shouldn't use to determine how they want to tell that story, which is, things that the writers have said, or things that, the creators believed, or whatever. Like, biographical details should be irrelevant in the interpretation of a story, in my opinion. This is the whole death of the author literary nonsense, whatever. It's just something I think makes literature more interesting. But that's a part of it, right? They're making changes, and if you're always going to hold the show to the standard of the book and the things they did in the book, well, number one, if they did do that, you wouldn't be surprised by anything, right? Like, but number two, you're always going to be disappointed, because the changes are inevitable, right? Like, if you want the book, read the book, which is not, the best thing to say either, right? Like, but that's the reality. If you want to, see the events of the book play out, then read the book, because you're never going to get that in the TV show. You're going to get parts of it, right? We got the Battle of the Gullet, even though there were a lot of changes there as well. We've gotten a lot of important things. We're going to see Tumbleton, because, again, at the end of this episode, Ormond Hightower has betrayed Rhaenyra, has not given her Darren, and Tumbleton is being attacked. And Tumbleton is pretty significant as well, and some of the stuff that happened in this episode may set up some things that are going to happen at Tumbleton. So there's all of that built in there, and that's a part, right? They're going to hit the parts, but they might get to them in different ways. They might tell the stories in a different way. They might even change some of the events or motivations of those things. And sometimes that creates an interesting scenario that's different, and sometimes it just creates frustration and lack of identifiable motives, and things like that, right? Because even in this episode, Rhaenyra is a little inconsistent with certain things. When you talk about Harrenhal, and she's like, I don't fucking care about Harrenhal, fuck that shit, right? Like, why? Why is this your belief all of a sudden? Why do you not care about Harrenhal? Why the fuck was Daemon there for a whole fucking season doing fuck all if you don't even fucking care now? Like, what the fuck? That doesn't make sense to anybody. But apparently she doesn't care. Daemon, again, continues just to be, the coolest person in the existence of the Seven Realms. But that doesn't make him a good person still. He will murder anybody for any reason. And he gives this little speech. Well, it's a conversation with Rhaenyra, where Rhaenyra is kind of talking about the small folk and this and that, and he's like, yo, you do need the lords. Like, you can't just be fucking with them, and like, this is not a real victory, right? Like, giving to the small folk makes you feel good, but it doesn't really do anything except for piss off a whole lot of people. And Daemon's kind of just like, he believes what he's been taught to believe and what he's seen throughout his life. Targaryens are chosen. They are gods because they have dragons, right? And again, this whole change with Rhaena, sheep stealer kind of thing, the change from the book is the character that Rhaena is replacing calls all of that into question, right? Only Targaryens can tame dragons. Only the seedlings of Targaryens, the bastards, can claim dragons. No one else can claim a dragon. But in the book, there's some ambiguity about Nettles, this character, who may have no Targaryen blood, but claims a dragon. And that calls into question this, you know, this specialness, this chosenness, and Damon does dote on Nettles, uh, you know, so you can create different scenarios with that as well. But they've changed it, so we're gonna have some different scenarios because now his daughter has claimed sheep stealer, and surprise, surprise, Damon is meant to go to the Vale, where he will inevitably find sheep stealer and Rhaena most likely. In the next few episodes potentially. One problem is now he's not in King's Landing, so what's gonna happen, right? What's gonna happen with Ormond attacking Tumbleton? But he's gonna be in the Vale, so he'll most likely find Sheepstealer and Rhaena. And what kind of drama does that create? The other thing, right, is Rhaenyra, as well as struggling with everything else, is also struggling with not being able to rule in the way that her father did, and Alicent is a good sounding board here for her, where Alicent's like, yo, you can't try to be your dad because none of us could ever live in the world he lived in. Like, he was able to do things because this was the situation at the time. He was allowed to be this way. Like, we don't live in that world. We can't exist in that world, and we can't rule the way he ruled because it doesn't exist for us. Not least of all because they're women, but for other reasons as well. So this is one of the core struggles Rhaenyra's facing right now, as she adapts to this role as queen, and her responsibilities and her duties, and the fact that they have no money and that she can't do the things she wants, and she doesn't care about Harrenhal all of a sudden, all these other things. And Daemon's just like, yo, we should just conquer the fucking world. Who fucking cares? Take everything we want. Like, what the hell? And then this whole thing about her legitimacy, she, she's dealing with the faith as well, and she says, hey, yo, Aegon, he's dead. We're lying, but he's disfigured and whatnot. I found out from Alicent, so nobody's gonna know. Like, whoop de fucking woodly hoo hoo hoo. I'm just gonna say he's dead. But yeah, she's the main reason Daemon's going to the Vale, right, is to go get her heir Joffrey, and yeah, we know what's gonna happen when he goes to the Vale. But yeah, there's a lot going on, but simultaneously it feels like there's not a lot going on. It's a lot of Rhaenyra just going from place to place, being overwhelmed, always being shouted at, always being asked for something, and like she doesn't know how to deal with that. Ultimately, we get to a part where she has Darren, the child of Alicent and her father Viserys, and Alicent's like, hey, yo, let me see him. And so Rhaenyra's like, all right. And then Alicent's like, holy shit, that is not my kid. My kid is not blonde. He, this is not him. Which then begs greater questions. If Alicent knows that her kid isn't blonde, shouldn't other people know? Like, why would they dye his hair blonde to try to fool Daemon and Rhaenyra if he's not actually blonde? Why are you trying to make a kid look like Darren who looks nothing like him? Like, I get it. Maybe that's like their mindset, their viewpoint. Like, they never met the kid, all this stuff. But like that on top of leaving Tessarion, the dragon, like, why wouldn't you take his dragon too? none of that really. Like, why leave the dragon with the high towers? That seems ridiculous. So you have all these little minor issues maybe there. But yeah, Allison's like, it's not my shit. So don't murder him, but also, what the fuck? And yeah, Rhaenyra's like shocked. She's like, I could have dyed my kid's hair blonde the whole fucking time, and everybody would have just believed it. They got the roots and everything. Holy fuck. Sucks to suck, doesn't it? But yeah, very interesting, very interesting. And yeah, Tumbleton's being attacked. Rhaenyra don't know what the fuck's going on. So we got things with Corlys brewing. Who knows what's gonna happen with him now that he has spoken out against the queen. We got Hugh asking for stuff and not getting it right away. What's gonna happen with Hugh? What's gonna happen with Ulf? What's gonna happen with all these fun, exciting characters and dragons and whatnot? We'll wait to find out. But I'll be back Thursday this week to talk about Spider Noir, hopefully. So yeah, and plenty of exciting things on the horizon. So share your thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys like this episode or whatever, if you have any thoughts or opinions on anything I've said, feel free to share them. Like, comment, rate, review, subscribe, click all the buttons, do all the things, and I will see you soon. Ciao, ciao.